Hello, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. My name is Aubrey Nowitzki, and I'm the proud founder and board director for the Student Event Planners Association. We are going to be starting the webinar in about 5 minutes, so I'll allow everybody to get on the call. If you would go ahead and on the event wall, you can say your name, what chapter you belong to if you're part of the SCPA family, and we'll get started shortly. I do want to remind everyone that this webinar will be recorded and available on the SCPA YouTube channel afterwards. There will also be a corresponding questionnaire, again, if you are an SCPA member, to receive credit for this webinar. I'll go over that just a little bit after everybody else gets in. Got quite a few people today. Meryl Parks, I see you. Marcus, Kim, nice to see you again. John, thanks so much for joining us. Laura Davison. Sheena, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thanks guys so much for joining. Very exciting. Similarly, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, if you guys want to go ahead and post that to the event wall, I'll be reading those out for Michael to answer as we go along. Also, we've already posted on the event wall, if you want to take a look at that, the link to where the recording will be on our YouTube channel. We've also included the link to the questionnaire that you'll need to submit to receive credit for this webinar. It's a little bit different than your typical webinars. This time you'll actually be required to create an event space using the platform and submit the URL link for credit. And there are some criteria on that form, so if you guys want to go ahead and take a look at the form before we start the webinar so you know exactly what to look out for, I highly recommend that. We'll start in just 2 minutes. All right, so while we still have a couple more people joining the call, I'm going to go ahead and go over really quickly the completion form. So once we've watched the webinar and received your account information if you are an SCPA member, the things that you want to look out for in this webinar, amongst everything else, because there's going to be so much to learn, it's so exciting. The 5 criteria that you'll need to know how to do in order to submit that assignment is create an event space of a certain size, so we've given you specific dimensions. You'll need to be able to add in round tables with 8 chairs of seating each, and you'll need to be able to change the linen colors. In addition, you'll need to know how to add a buffet table and bottled water to the event space. You'll need to include a wood dance floor or a wooden dance floor and a piano. And the last criteria to submit the assignment is you'll need to know how to change the wall and flooring color inside the space. In addition to that, Michael's going to go over how you can actually share your event space using a URL link, which is what you're going to actually submit for the assignment. So just make sure that you guys are listening closely as Michael goes through those points. And we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to first introduce Michael McClune, who is here on this webinar with us. He's the co-founder and VP of Sales and Customer Service at 3D Event Designer, powered by Events Clique, which is one of SCPA's partners, and we are so excited to have them as a partner. They add so much value to our organization and to our membership, and we're excited to see our members take advantage of and leverage our partnership with the 3D Event Designer powered by Events Clique. As a little bit of background for Michael, very interesting background. Michael is an internet entrepreneur. Prior to co-founding Events Clique with his sister Kristen, Michael was an American professional tennis player on the ATP circuit. He turned professional in 2007 and received representation and contracts from the likes of IMG, Nike, and Wilson, so very legitimate. In February 2011, Michael co-founded and launched Events Clique, the first 3D event software of its kind to enable people and event professionals to easily create and share realistic 3D floor plans online. He has been instrumental in the company's success and expansion to include global partner resellers. And it's such an amazing platform. I know all of you are going to be so floored by the end of this webinar with how much you've learned and getting to see a tool that you probably didn't even know existed, especially in the event industry. And it is so imperative because one of the biggest challenges we face as event professionals is being able to turn a vision into reality, to be able to communicate to a client or even your coworkers what your vision is for an actual event space. But having the tools to actually take them through an event space, having built it in 2D and viewing it in 3D, there's really no comparison. So Michael, I know you're going to do a phenomenal job explaining this entire platform, adding, again, so much value to our membership, and I'm so appreciative for your time today. And with that, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Aubrey, and thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar tonight. I think you're really going to enjoy, as Aubrey said, what you see and what you're able to do with our software. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. I believe you should be able to see the screen now. All right, so basically tonight what we're going to be going over is what is 3D Event Designer. I'll show a little live demo and go over the features that we released in the last few months, which include the ability to upload floor plans to Traceover, being able to view floor plans on mobile devices, some new products that we've added, our floor plan templates gallery, the ability to change all the items in your floor plan's color, and our transparent windows. And then we'll go ahead and do a little Q&A. But as Aubrey said, if you guys have questions along the way, go ahead and type them out and she will let me know those questions. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and go back to our software. So let's go into 2D view real quick. So as you can see here, I have a floor plan upload or opened right now that I've already created. I'm going to show you guys just a little quick view of what you guys can create in our software, and then I'll go back and I'll start from the beginning and show you how I got here. So what you're viewing right now is obviously the 2D view of this floor plan. Let's go ahead and go into the 3D walk. As you see, 3D, obviously very realistic looking with the ability to walk around the room in 360 degrees. I can go ahead and use the arrow keys on my keyboard to walk around the room, or these arrows right here that you see on screen. To change, your view in here, I can go ahead and click on the screen and move my mouse to move, my viewing. As you see, we can get real detailed with these setups. I can put place settings on these tables. I can put, centerpieces. I can do my dessert table, come over here and do our catering table over here. So as you can see, we can get real detailed. Indoor and outdoor spaces, as you see, if I go ahead and walk outside. And with your outdoor spaces, you have the ability to do any type of flooring, so grass, concrete, water, sand, you name it, so that you can get real detailed and really match that of your real life event. So let's go ahead, and I am going to go ahead and start from scratch to show you how we got here. So let's go back to my main screen. So when you guys log in, to you guys' account, you're going to be taken to this screen where you guys can go ahead and click on Create a New Project. And there's a few different things here. Start from scratch, which is exactly that. You start with a blank, empty room. Choose a template. Choosing a template is what I referred to a little earlier, our floor plan gallery template. So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll see that we have a bunch of templates already done for you. Some of these are what we call high definition, where the room looks identical to the real life room. This modeling was done by us. And some are in standard definition, where it's more of a generic looking space. These spaces are basically just to get you a jump start on your event. You'll see that some of these are populated already. This allows you to obviously then just customize the room dimensions, maybe add in a few tables, you name it. You can go ahead and search by area. If your area is not here, no worries. Let's go ahead and go back. And then the last one is open a saved project, which is exactly that. Open up a project you've already created. So let's go ahead and start from scratch. And I'll go ahead and label my floor plan, whatever I want. We'll just label it test right now and click continue. And when the software loads, you'll see that you start with a blank, empty room. It's in 2D and 3D already. What I always suggest is let's go ahead and delete this room and just start from scratch. It's always the easiest way. You do have the ability to take this room and resize it if you want, if you don't want to delete this room. To resize a room, I can go ahead and click on any of my walls and just click and drag, and it will go ahead and resize it. I can also click on a corner to change the shape of it, and it will resize it that way as well. But it's a little more difficult to get the size and shape of your room this way, so I always suggest let's go ahead and just delete this room and start from scratch. So to do so, I'll go ahead and click on every wall and either click delete or the delete key on my keyboard. And let's just go ahead and start from scratch. Now, let's go back over here. Now, starting from scratch, you have two ways to create your floor plan. One way is uploading a background image, so for example, a floor plan that you already have and tracing over it. And the second way is just drawing it out. The easier way is obviously going to be if you have an image to start with, so that from then all you have to do is trace over it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to demo how to upload an image. The images have to be in either JPEG or PNG format. So let's go ahead and go to the background tab. And you will notice it clarifies that it needs to be in JPEG or PNG. I'll go ahead and click on Browse Files. And let's go ahead and upload this test floor plan right here. And then I'll click Upload. As you'll see here, it's now uploaded into the system. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and press this lock icon. Basically what this lock icon does is it will lock it to the background. So right now you'll see that it's moving independently from the grid. I want to lock it to the grid. So I'll go ahead and press the lock icon, and it's now moving with the grid. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scale this. So basically what I'm doing is I am scaling this floor plan so that the system knows what the dimensions are of this floor plan. So to scale it, I'll go ahead and press on the scale button. Little video pop-up will show you exactly what you have to do. Essentially all you have to do is draw one line along any of the walls and tell the system what that dimension is. We always suggest to take the biggest dimension that you know. The bigger the dimension, the more accurate the scaling is going to be. So let's go ahead and scale this this big wall right here. I'll go ahead and click on my starting point, trace over, and click on my ending point. And let's say, for example, this floor plan wall is 80 feet. I'll go ahead and insert my dimensions and press OK. And the system will then scale all the walls in proportion. So from here, all I have to do is then trace over it. So to trace over it, we'll go to the Build tab. The Build tab is where all my drawing tools are located. You'll notice under Draw Rooms, Areas, Walls, and Columns, we have our Exterior Wall tool, Interior, Curved Walls, and our Surface Outdoor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take my exterior wall and I'm going to go ahead and trace out this exterior part right here. So I'll click on my exterior, click on my starting point, and just start tracing. And you'll notice I click and trace. I do not have to hold down my mouse. I just click and keep tracing, and I'll go ahead and trace out this floor plan. From here, the system automatically creates it in both 2D and 3D. So if we were go ahead and go into the 3D, it's already created for me. But now what I got to do is I obviously have to add those other rooms that you saw on the floor plan. So how do I do that when the floor is covering that floor plan? I can't see through it right now. If you scroll down, and while we're still in this build tab, if you go ahead and scroll down past Annotation Tools, you'll get down to Visibility Options. Visibility Options allow me then to take this slider and hide the floor so that I can now see through to the image that I uploaded. So let's go ahead and hide it so I can see through. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on one of my interior, or click on my interior wall tool, and I'm going to go ahead and trace out some of these other rooms. So let's go ahead and click on the interior wall tool and just start tracing these other rooms. I'll go ahead and click and trace, and once I'm done with one of my walls, I'll go ahead and press the Escape key on my keyboard and go to the next wall. Press Interior again, trace this one, press Escape, move on to the next wall, so on and so forth. Now if we go into the 3D walk, we will have our rooms. And 3D Global gives you a little better idea of that. 3D Global is basically a bird's eye view, which is still in 3D. So you can see our rooms have been created. Again, I can zoom in and out with my slider right here and move around with these buttons right here. So once you're done tracing out your room, you're going to want to add in your doors and windows to really customize the exact look of the space. That's when we go ahead and click on Openings. So I'll go ahead and click on Openings, and it takes me to my Doors, Windows, and Room Construction tab. This is where my doors will be, my windows, some stairs, fireplaces, you name it. To add a door, it's very simple. I'm just going to go ahead and click on any door that I want. So for example, if I wanted this double door, I'll go ahead and click on it, and I will click where I want it in my floor plan. If I go into 3D, it will then be there in 3D. You'll notice that if you drag in a patio door, glass wall panel, these are see-through, so they're very realistic looking. So for example, I'll go ahead and put a glass door right there. And as you can see through to the next room. If it was an outdoor space, you'd be able to see through to that outdoor space. So it's very realistic looking. Again, it's the same thing with these sliding patio doors. You'll be able to see through them. Very realistic looking. Go back to Openings. So that's the first way of creating your space, is if you have an image to upload, go ahead and scale it, and then you just have to trace over it. You can always go ahead and check your dimensions later to make sure that they're correct by zooming in on a wall, and the dimensions will show up. And again, if your dimensions are a little off, I can go ahead and click on a wall and drag it out to change that dimension. Now let's go ahead and start a project and say I don't have a floor plan to upload. Let me go ahead, give me 1 second. Let me open up a blank one again. Okay, again, we start with the blank empty room. I can go ahead and change the dimensions of this room if I want, but instead I'm going to go ahead and delete it and start from an empty screen. So I don't have an image to upload. Basically, it's the same exact thing. I'm going to go ahead and take one of my drawing tools, and I'm just going to go ahead and trace out the room. I obviously have to know what the dimensions are, and I'll have to know what the shape is, but aside from that, I literally just draw it out with my mouse. So I'll go ahead and take either my exterior or interior wall tool. Really doesn't matter which one you take. The only difference between these tools is the wall thickness, which I can always change later. So let's go ahead and just take the exterior wall tool. Again, I click on my starting point, start tracing out. It doesn't matter how crazy the room shape is. I will go ahead and keep tracing, keep clicking, and when I finish my drawing, the room will automatically create it for me in 2D and 3D. Let's go ahead and go into 3D. And you can see we have our room. And then I would obviously go to the Openings tab and start adding in my doors. Now after that, after we add in our doors and our windows in the respective spots, we're going to want to customize the room a little bit so that it looks a little more like a real-life room. For example, customizing the carpet, customizing the wall color material, and the ceiling color material. So to do so, very simple. One thing you guys will notice in the software is it's very intuitive, very user-friendly. There's not very many menus that you have to dive into. Really, everything is portrayed in just 1 or 2 clicks. So let's say I want to change this flooring to carpet. I will go ahead and click on the flooring, and you'll notice in this right-hand pop-up, You'll be seeing this right-hand pop-up a lot when you click on things in our software. The first thing that I can do is I can go ahead and label the room if I want to give this room a name. Second thing I can do is go ahead and change the height of this room. So if I want to go ahead and make this maybe a little taller room, I can go ahead and click there, change the height. When I go ahead and click anywhere on my floor plan, it will ask me, do you want to apply this height to the neighbor walls? I'll go ahead and click yes, and now my room is a little taller. Next, you'll notice that we have ceiling material, and then we have floor material. And you'll also notice next to these a little eye icon. What this eye icon refers to is the ability to hide. So if I wanted to hide my ceiling, I can go ahead and click the eye icon under the ceiling, and if I go into the 3D, the ceiling will be hidden. So let's go ahead and bring it back, and like I said, let's go ahead and change this carpet. So I will go change it to carpet. So I'll go ahead and click on the floor material, and you'll notice here under materials we have our different categories. I'll go down to the carpet category. I can choose any of these carpets, and then I can choose to change the color of this carpet. So I can click on this carpet, and I can click on change color and change the color if I want. So let's go ahead and click apply, and the carpet will then be there in both the 2D and the 3D view. Again, if I wanted to maybe change it to a different color, same thing, click on floor material, go to carpet, choose what carpet I want, click apply, and it will change in both 2D and 3D. Now let's go ahead and change the ceiling material. Again, I click on my floor, the pop-up will be here, I click on ceiling material, and it's the same exact process. I go down to the category that I want, let's go to maybe panels, I'll go ahead and click on which one I want, I can go ahead and change the color if I want, and then click apply, and it will then change it in the 3D view. Now for walls, it's basically the same thing, but for walls, I'm actually going to click on the wall that I want to change. So if I wanted to change this wall right here, I'll go ahead and zoom in on this wall. Now I have two ways to zoom in. One, you'll notice that up here under the Tools section, I have my zoom out and zoom in buttons. I can also zoom in if I am using a mouse and I have a scroll wheel. So that's what I use. It's a lot easier to zoom in and out in the software with a scroll wheel. So if you have a mouse with one, I suggest you use that. I can go ahead and zoom in on this wall. And when I click on it, again, there will be a right-hand pop-up here. You'll notice right here, I can change, first thing I can do is I can change the thickness like I mentioned. I can always change the thickness of the walls later, so it really doesn't matter if I use exterior or interior. And you'll notice here under materials, I have two different things here. What this is applying to is I can change the material, the color, the texture of either the interior of the wall or the exterior. And the way you know the difference is if you hover your mouse over these two, the gray border will tell you which one you're changing. So if I wanted to change the interior, I'll go ahead and click on this one. And again, it's the same type of menu. I'll go ahead and choose, what type of interior I want, and then I can go ahead and change it to that. So if I wanted to make this wood, click apply, and it will change it to wood. So I can go ahead and do that for all of my walls and really customize it and give it the look of my real life venue. Now from there, let's go ahead and go over some more of our tools before we get to how to add products and everything. So you'll notice under Annotation Tools, I have Dimension, Arrow, and Notes. What these are referring to is if I want to find out the dimensions of anywhere on my floor plan. For example, if I have a table in my floor plan and I want to find out how far that table is from a certain wall, I can go ahead and click on my Dimension tool and go ahead and draw out a dimension, and it will tell me what that dimension is. And I can always delete this later if I don't want it on my final floor plan. The arrow and the notes button come in handy when you're doing, catering setups, or if you just really want to be specific on a certain item. I can go ahead and draw a note anywhere on my floor plan. Type in the note here, and I can customize this. I can go ahead and change the text size so it's a little bigger and I can read it. I can change the opacity of the note. I can make it invisible, the background color of the note, and the text color as well. So you can get real detailed. And then I can go ahead and attach an arrow to this note to where it is talking about. And again, I can delete these later if I don't want them on my final floor plan. Go ahead and click on them and either press the delete key on your keyboard or delete right over here. Go down a little further. Visibility options, I went over the floor visibility. The other ones are hiding the items and the furniture in your floor plan. We don't have anything in there right now, but if I had a table in there or a bunch of tables and I wanted to hide them all, I can go ahead and click that. It'll hide that. Room label is just referring to this label right here in the middle. I can go ahead and hide that. And the dimensions, the wall dimensions, which are on every wall in the middle of each wall, I can go ahead and hide that if I wanted to as well. So that goes over how to create your space. Now, after you create your space, if it's a space that you work in over and over again, you're obviously not going to want to have to create it every single time. You're not going to want to have to draw it out and add in your doors and windows every single time. So what you can do is you can go ahead and save it as a template. To save it as a template, you will go ahead and go up here where it says the name of what you labeled your floor plan. So I obviously labeled it test. I will go ahead and change this name and add on -template. Go ahead, click save. So now every time that I am working in this venue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up this template, and the very first thing I'm going to do before I make any edits to it is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. Then I will go ahead and change it to whatever my event name is, press save, and now I go ahead and edit it, and now I'm editing that duplication. I'm never touching my original, but I always have that template to go off of. That obviously saves you a lot of time if you're working in the same venue over and over again. All right, so that pretty much takes care of the build tab. Again, the build tab is where you draw the room, trace the room, do your visibility options, annotation tools. Now let's go on how to add products into the floor plan. That will be under the Furnish tab. You'll notice when you click on the Furnish tab, all of our categories are broken up into alphabetical order. You'll also have a search bar up here where you can actually search for the exact product name if you know it. So let's go ahead and add in a few things. Let's say I wanted to add in some tables. I'll go ahead and scroll down to tables and linens. And you'll notice in the tables section we have tables that are already populated with chairs at them. Also tables populated with chairs and place settings at them. And if you go down a little further, we have tables with no chairs at them. These first groupings with chairs at them, this is the type of chair that you will get with this table. You will not be able to edit that chair. So if you, for example, wanted a 60-inch round table, but instead of shibari chairs, you wanted banquet chairs, that's when you would drag in a table by itself and then add the chairs later. So let's go ahead and just drag in one preset one. Again, all I have to do is click on it and then click where I want it in my floor plan, and it will be there in both 2D and 3D. And one thing to keep in mind is everything auto scales for you, so you never have to worry about something being, not to scale. The system does all the scaling for you, and it's all exact. So as you see, obviously we have our table. Now let's go ahead and say I wanted this 60-inch table, but instead of shibari chairs, I wanted banquet chairs. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and scroll down a little further. I'll go ahead and take one of my 60-inch rounds. Let's say I wanted this 60-inch round right here. Click on it, click where I want it in my floor plan, and again, it will be there. And now I'll add my banquet chairs. So let's go back to our main page, the category page, and now we'll go down under the chairs section. And this is where all of our chairs are located. You'll find, a ton of different chairs, shibari chairs, banquet chairs, folding chairs, you name it, it's probably going to be here. One thing to keep in mind with all of our products is the ability to change the size of them for all of our products. And for the majority of our products, you're able to change the color of them. So I'll just keep going. Now we're down to stools. You'll see we have obviously quite a selection. So let's say I wanted to add in a banquet chair. Let's go ahead and click on this banquet chair, and I'll go ahead and place it where I want it. And I'll zoom in here using my scroll wheel on my mouse. You'll notice the front of the product is where this arrow is. So if I go ahead and go into the 3D, it will be facing this table right now. Go into the 3D view and you'll see it's facing that table. Now there's a few, let's say I wanted 4 of these banquet chairs at my table. There's the easiest way to do it is going to be, let's go ahead and copy this. I'll go ahead and click on my item, and you'll notice in this right-hand pop-up over here, down at the very bottom, I have copy. So I can go ahead and copy this chair again so that I don't have to drag it in again. And now I need to rotate it because obviously it's not facing the table. So to rotate it, you'll notice this rotation ring around any of our products. Anytime you click on a product, you'll notice this rotation ring. I can go ahead and click on this rotation ring and rotate this product so that it is facing my table. Go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and copy these. Let's say I wanted 4 at these at this table, and I will go ahead and finish this table. And now let's say I wanted, 10 of these tables. I obviously don't want to have to drag in and move these chairs and these tables, 10 different times. It'll be very time consuming. So what I can do is I can go ahead and group this entire table. You'll notice under the Tools section, the third one over will say Group Selection. Group Selection allows me to draw a box around a certain set of items, and then I can go ahead and copy those items. So I go ahead and press copy, I can then copy those, and I can continue to press copy and get multiples of 1, or I can group these 2, get multiples of 2, so on and so forth, and you can get up to whatever number you need pretty quickly. Oops, let's go ahead and move that back. So let's go into the 3D walk and take a look at that. So we have our tables. Now, one thing to keep in mind is obviously if you want to be putting place settings or centerpieces on these tables, you're going to want to do that on this very first one. You always want to create your first one the way you want it before you copy it, or else you're going to have to redo it, obviously. So let's go ahead and delete these others too, and let's go ahead and get real detailed with this first table. Let's say I wanted to add in some place settings. Again, I'll go down to our place settings category, choose what place setting I want, drag it in there, and I'll do the copying again with the rotation. Go ahead and finish this one. And now let's say I wanted to add a centerpiece. We will go back to the categories and find where centerpieces are. So we have florals and centerpieces. Choose what centerpiece I want, drag it in, and we'll have our table all set up. So we got our table all set up. Give you a little 3D global look at it so you can see it from a different angle. I'm moving around with the arrow keys on my keyboard right now. Go back into 2D view, and now let's say I wanted multiples of these tables. I'll use our group selection tool and copy it, and then I can go ahead and continue to copy or copy these 3 and get multiples of 3, so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and add in some different items. So let's go ahead and add in a little buffet setup. So let's say I wanted some chafing dishes, some urns, maybe some bottled water. Let's go ahead and go to the Furnish tab, and let's say we're using an 8-foot rectangular table. I'll go down to Tables, scroll a little farther down past the round tables, down to where we get to the rectangular ones, and I will use this, let's say, 8-foot rectangular table. Go ahead and click on it, click where I want it, and now I will go to my catering section. So under categories, you'll find catering equipment up at the top. And you'll find a bunch of stuff in here. You'll find carving station, urns, chafing dishes, a salad bar, hot food wells, serving trays. Again, we have a vast majority of items in our system. So let's go ahead and put in some, maybe a chafing dish. We'll put in a coffee urn. Let me rotate it so it's facing the right way. And let's say I wanted to add in some bottled water. We'll go under the Beverages tab, and you'll see that we have bottled water, soda cans, some stuff for breakfast, even wine bottles, beer dispensers, very detailed stuff. Let's go ahead and click on water bottle and put in a couple water bottles. And let's go into the 3D view. And scroll over there, and as you can see, we have our buffet setup. And again, like I mentioned, we can add notes to this buffet setup. So if I wanted to get real detailed, I can go ahead and add a note here that says, in this chafing dish, it is fish. And I can go ahead and attach an arrow to it so that there's no mix-up on day of setup. All right, so that goes over buffet setups. Let's go ahead and go over maybe some entertainment options, for example, dance floors, stages, all that stuff. Let's go back into our categories section, and we will go down to staging. I can go ahead and click on whatever staging I want. Go ahead and place it in the system. And let's say I wanted to add a piano on top of this stage. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this stage is, you'll see height is 1 foot 6 inches. So if I were to go ahead and put this piano on the stage, Go ahead and rotate it. What you'll notice is that the stage looks like it's floating in the middle of the stage, or the piano is floating in the middle of the stage. We obviously don't want that. Now the reason is because our items go down onto the floor, or the majority of our items. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to raise this piano so that it is 1 foot 6 inches off the floor. So let's go ahead and click on this piano, and you'll notice down here under the distance, I can go ahead and change this from 0 feet, which is on the floor, to 1 foot 6 inches. And it will now be resting on top of the stage when I put it back onto the stage. Go back into 3D view, and now it is resting correctly. Now, along with where that distance, where you can edit that distance, that's also where you edit the product dimensions as well. So let me say I wanted to change this banquet chair to a different dimension. Now, again, like I mentioned, all of our products can change dimensions. So if your specific banquet chair is not these dimensions, I can go ahead and click on the banquet chair, and I can go ahead and change the dimensions to my exact ones. And again, everything's to scale, so everything will update accordingly, both in the 2D and 3D view. Next few things under this, when you go ahead and click on a product, next few things under this right-hand tab are going to be the ability to rotate it. I already went over rotating with the rotation ring. You can also rotate it by changing the number here as well. Probably a little easier to use the rotation ring though. And then finally under this tab is going to be changing color. So if I want to go ahead and change this banquet chair, if I want to change, you'll notice that we have two different options. Right now we have chair covering or the sash color. For some of our items you'll only have one option, some of them you'll have two, some of them you'll even have 3 to 4 options of changing the different parts of the product. So for this particular one, we have 2 options. So let's go ahead and change this chair covering. I'll go ahead and click on this little thumbnail right here, and I can go ahead and change it to whatever color I want. Go ahead and change it to maybe a dark blue. And the chair covering, the sash color, I can change as well to whatever I want. And it will change it in the 2D and 3D view. And let's say I wanted to change this for all of the banquet chairs in my floor plan. I obviously don't want to have to click on every one and go through that same process. It'll take forever. So what I can do is I can go ahead and click on this one again, and you'll notice right underneath those color options, I have the ability to apply to all. What this does is it applies this color to all of the banquet chairs in my floor plan. And that function applies to all of our products, not just our chairs. But if I wanted to change the linen color, for example, I can go ahead and change this particular one, and then click Apply to All, and it will change all of them. And there we go. Again, it only changes the color of that same exact item. So if I have 50 of those tables in there, it will change all 50 of those, but it will not change, for example, my rectangular table, since that's a different item. All right, let's go ahead and add in maybe a dance floor. So we'll go ahead and go back to our categories, and I will go under flooring. I can go ahead and choose acrylic dance floor or a wooden dance floor. I'll go ahead and click on it, place it where I want it. I can go ahead and resize this so it can fit. Again, the resize option is over here. And we got our dance floor. There we go. Let's see, what other floor? Let's go over outdoor areas now. So we went over the indoor areas and how to add items, change items, colors, and everything. Let's go over outdoor spaces. So obviously, a lot of you are going to be creating outdoor wedding receptions and everything. So let's go over that real quick. It's going to be under the Build tab. We'll go back to the Build tab, and like I mentioned, the fourth one, the fourth drawing tool, is our surface, our outdoor area. What this refers to is 2 different things. One is surface, which means if I have this indoor room right here and half of the room is one color of carpet, the other half is maybe a different flooring altogether, I can go ahead and use this tool inside to change that color. And I can create as many different surfaces I want so that I can change the flooring independently. And the second function of this one is the outdoor space. This also creates outdoor spaces. So if I wanted to add in an outdoor space to this indoor room. I'll go ahead and click on my outdoor space, and it's the same exact process. I'm just going to go ahead and trace my outdoor area. And when I go ahead and finish it, the room will get, or the outdoor area will get created. Now, one thing to keep in mind is on outdoor spaces, the ceiling is by default on. So obviously, we probably don't want the ceiling on for outdoor spaces. So what I'll go ahead and do is use my ceiling eye tool to go ahead and hide that. So give me 1 second. There's a little issue with this outdoor space. Okay, let me create an outdoor space over here to the left. Not sure what's going on over there. I'm just going to reload the floor plan and just create a new outdoor space. I'm not sure what was going on right there. All right, let's go ahead and create an outdoor space over here. All right, so there we go. So we have our outdoor space over here, and obviously I want to hide the ceiling. So let's go ahead and hide the ceiling. And let's say I wanted grass. This is the grass outdoor space. Again, I'll do the same process as the indoor space. I'll change the floor material, go down to the outdoor category. I can change it again to grass, sand, stone, water, you name it. Go into 3D view, and we have our outdoor area. And if we wanted to add in some tents on this outdoor area, the tents will be under our Furnish tab. Scroll down to the bottom under tents, and we'll drag in, whatever tent you want. We got a bunch of different tents. We got tents with sidewalls, without sidewalls. Really, whatever you want. We'll go ahead and put a tent in there. And you can see we got our tents. And again, with our tents, you can go ahead and customize the color of them. I can go ahead and click on them, and I can change either the pole covering or the pole coloring or the cover coloring. So I can go ahead and change this, and it will change it. And then I can go ahead and add in products underneath this tent, such as tables and chairs and all that. All right, so that covers the Build tab and the Furnish tab. Background tab, we already went over. That's where you upload background images to trace over. Now let's go over the Snapshots function. Snapshots function is one way to share your floor plan. Like Aubrey mentioned, you guys can share floor plans through links. You can also share floor plans through, obviously, just PDFs or JPEGs or however you want to do it. So the first way is we'll go up here under the Share tool. This sharing tool, this is by links. This first one is by email. I can go ahead and type in my recipient's email address. It's going to shoot them this link, which is exactly this link up here at the top that you see. When they click on that, they can see exactly what you created in both 2D and 3D, and they can walk around the room. They can move stuff around as well, but it will not edit your original design, and they won't be able to save anything unless they sign up for an account. So you'll always have your original design. Next two are obviously Twitter and Facebook. And now let's go back to the Snapshots tab. Snapshots tab is where you create either JPEGs, PNGs, or PDFs of your event, either in 2D or 3D. And the Snapshots tab is also where you create the mobile device links so that you can view floor plans on your iPad or Android device or whatever you have. So if I go ahead and go into, if I'm in the 2D view and I go ahead and click on Save Snapshot, let me go ahead and create a little better event real quick so we can get a little nicer snapshot. Let me go ahead and drag in a couple tables. All right, so we have our event. All right, I'll go into the Snapshots tab. I'm in the 2D view, and I'll go ahead and click on Save Snapshot. Now, when I save this snapshot, I can go ahead and label it whatever I want, for example, 2D view. And now I have two options. I have download or save. The difference between these two is that download will save it to my computer as whatever format I want. Save refers to mobile device compatibility. So I can go ahead and click Save, and it's going to save as a little thumbnail here on the left. This thumbnail, when I go ahead and click on it, has its own unique URL right here. This URL is mobile friendly, so I can go ahead and send this URL in an email, and the client will be able to open this up on their iPad or iPhone or whatever. This also applies in the 3D view as well. So if I go into the 3D view, again, I'll have a couple different options. My first one is standard photo. What that does is it takes a picture of exactly of what you see on my screen, nothing more. And I will have two options. I can either download it in whatever format I want or save it as a mobile device link. Go ahead and click on it. This own unique URL is mobile device friendly. And then the really cool feature is our panoramic snapshot. Our panoramic snapshot creates a 360-degree picture in every which way of your event. This isn't a great event to show it in because it's so small, but I'll go ahead and do it anyways. Go ahead and press save. I'll go ahead and open this up. And again, this link is mobile friendly. So when a client opens this up on their mobile device, they will be able to move around in 360 degrees. And obviously, if we had a bigger space, if we have multiple areas, they'll be able to see all those areas. With these snapshots, I can take as many as I want. So if I have a really large event and I wanted to take, one snapshot in 3D view from the entrance and one from, the other side of the room, I can do that. I can take as many as I want. And I can also do this in the 3D global as well. So if I'm in a 3D global, I can take snapshots from, any different angle that I want. All right. I think the last couple things we need to go over are seating charts and our inventory tab. So you'll notice that if I go ahead and click on any table, in this right-hand pop-up, the very first thing you'll see is a label. I can go ahead and label this anything I want. I can go ahead and click on head table or label it, a table number or really whatever I want. And then next to it, you'll see three dots that say notes. These notes allow me to put anyone that's sitting at this table along with any notes. For example, if I want to put meal of choice or really whatever I want to put, I'll go ahead and click on apply. And where that comes into play is our inventory button. Our inventory button, it gets auto-created for you. First, it's going to show the snapshots that you created. So if you didn't create any snapshots, none of these snapshots will obviously show. Second thing it's going to create is an automatic inventory list. So everything I've dragged into my workspace with the product name along with the quantity of it. And then finally, it's going to be that seating chart. So any table that I've numbered or labeled will show up along with everyone that I put at that table and any notes that I applied to that person. So this you can obviously print out and hand out for day of execution so that everyone knows where they're sitting. And now the last few things, let's go into these tools section. The first two are undo and redo. It's exactly that. And then the third one we've gone over, the group selection to be able to multiply products. These ones, zoom in and zoom out, exactly that. Zoom all just basically zooms out my floor plan so that I can see all of it. And this final one, center camera, you'll notice this little camera icon right here. What the camera icon is referring to is where I'm going to be viewing 3D when I go into it. So right now I'm going to be standing right in front of that table. There's a table. So if I have a really large floor plan, I can go ahead and drag this anywhere I want so that instead of having to go into the 3D view and walk across my floor plan for 10, 15 seconds, I can go ahead and just move this area. I believe that covers most everything. The last thing I want to go over is adding what we call corners. So corners come into play when it's an odd-shaped room. For example, if it has little juts in the wall or alcoves. So let me go ahead and create a quick indoor space. And let's go ahead and zoom in on a wall. When I zoom in on a wall, you'll notice this button right here that says Add Corner. What this allows me to do is it allows me to add a corner to this wall, and I'll go ahead and add two corners to it actually. And then I can go ahead and drag this area out, and I can go ahead and add little juts to the wall. And obviously I can make them as big as I want, and I can put in as many of these as I want. Now, if you need to add columns, columns will be created just with with our drawing tools. So if I go ahead and click on Interior, I'll go ahead and just draw a little wall right here. I can go ahead and click on this wall and change the dimensions of it. If the column's a little thicker or thinner, I can go ahead and drag on it. If it's a little longer. change the height of it, you name it, and that's how you build your columns in the space. All right, I believe I've covered everything. I think we should open it up now for the Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? Aubrey, can you hear me?
So, can you hear me
sorry.
now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I always forget to unmute myself. Thank you so much. It was absolutely phenomenal, extremely thorough, and loved every minute of it. I know everyone, I'm sure, is salivating and wondering, how do I get access to my account? Or,
Perfect.
if you're not an SCPA member, how do I sign up for one?
Perfect. All right. So for SCPA members, we have a great deal with you guys. You guys get it for free for the entire time that you guys are in school. I will be sending out an email to everyone who is signed up or who is an SCPA member with your login info and login email and password. Basically, all you guys have to do is go ahead and go to 3deventdesigner.com and use your login info to access it. For people who are not SCPA members, let's go ahead and go to our main page, and you can take a look at the pricing, and I'll kind of go over the pricing so that there's no confusion. Okay, so you notice under pricing we have three different plans: Basic, Select, and Pro. The only difference between these three different plans is how many floor plans you can have saved at one time. So you'll notice under the Select, which is $19.95 a month, I can go ahead and save 4 floor plans. So what this refers to is I can have 4 floor plans saved at once. I can go ahead and edit those floor plans or delete them and create 4 new ones as many times as I want. But if I'm working on, let's say, 5 different events and I need 5 different floor plans for, I need a floor plan for each of them, I'm gonna have to upgrade to the Pro. These are all monthly, so it's kind of like Netflix. It's a recurring monthly with the option of putting your account on pause or canceling at any time. You can also contact us if you want to go ahead and do an annual account. You'll go ahead and save a couple months worth of money if you want to do the annual.
Brilliant. Absolutely, and definitely worth the investment. And let's go into that for a second. How do event professionals leverage a tool like this?
Yeah, so you'll notice once you guys become event professionals, you'll see how difficult it is to really, like Aubrey said, to show your client their event before it happens. The most difficult thing is your client visualizing the event. This really gives you the opportunity to do that, and you'll notice on our Facebook and on our Twitter page, we post every now and then side-by-side events, and I'll go ahead and open up a couple right now, actually, so you can see really, how close you can get to your real-life event, so that your client is not going to have any difficulty visualizing it. So let's go ahead and open up a couple side-by-side events. Go ahead and pick a good one. Okay, so we have this one as a starter. So as you can see, a side-by-side event. Go ahead and do an outdoor area. And maybe one more. So as you can see, you can get pretty close to your real life event. And here's one more that's pretty detailed. So that really your client's not going to have any surprises day of. They're really going to know what everything's going to look like, where everything's going to be placed, the color of it, you name it.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about like venue spaces? I know several of or quite a few of our members, are studying hotel and restaurant management. How might venues leverage a tool like this?
Perfect, yeah. So a great thing actually about venues with our software, they have an additional feature, and I'll go into the gallery tab to show you what that is. Venues have the ability to get their space modeled in high definition by us, which I went over briefly at the very beginning. So let's go ahead and take this hotel, for example. It's a hotel in Santa Monica, California, called the Casa del Mar. And what high definition refers to is we're going to go ahead and model out this space. Our team of models out the space so that it has the exact carpet, the exact wall, paper material, light fixtures, doorways. Everything's going to look exact to the real life space. So as you can see here, let's go ahead and move around this space. Very detailed, very great looking. This is actually the space where the founder of Events Clique, my sister, got married. This is actually her space.
Wow.
And as you can see, it's very detailed. It's going to look identical. So that's a great way that venues use it. We work with a lot of venues, a lot of hotels. We work with all over the world, and we're growing that, as we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know that a lot of you kind of incorporated 3D Event Designer and Events Clique into several different curriculum programs for some hospitality schools. I know the Wedding and Event Institute also partners with you. How would knowing how to create 2D and 3D event spaces reflect on someone's resume or portfolio? How can you leverage that ability, or how do students leverage it to make themselves stand out?
Yeah, great question. So really, and this goes back to some of the feedback that we get, some of the the compliments that we'll get on Facebook, on Twitter, through email, where some of our clients will contact us and say, hey, I've just booked in a client solely based on your system. They saw the floor plan that I created for them, and they said, this set you apart from your peers. No one else was doing this. Really, a lot of event planners are still on the pen and paper floor plan, which obviously is nowhere near to scale. It's obviously just black and white paper, and it gives no visual to the actual event. And we hear it over and over again, how day of setup, stuff goes wrong, things aren't fitting, and our clients love the ability to be ensured that everything's going to fit, but also that there's not going to be any headaches with their client. If their client's not going to be surprised, they're going to know what everything looks like, and this is really going to set you apart from your peers that aren't using something like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you kind of mentioned on some really key features beyond just being able to set up an event space in 2D and 3D, the notes, seating, and inventory feature. Can you once again kind of reiterate how event planners might leverage those features, for day of events or in communication with other vendors who are part of executing an event?
Yeah, so great feature obviously is the notes feature. Like I showed you, you guys can put notes anywhere on your floor plan. You guys can attach those notes with arrows, so you can go ahead and put notes. For the buffet setup, you can put as many as you want. So there's no mix-up day of setup. What's going in the urn, what's going in the chafing dish, what's going in the hot food wells. You can even put notes that have nothing to do about the buffet setup. If you want to put other notes, for example, day of setup time, or anything you really want to put, so that there's really no mix-up. And then obviously the seating chart is huge. That's one of our clients' favorite features, is being able to put names on all the tables, and then being able to put everyone who's sitting at that table, and then they can go ahead and print that out day of execution, and everyone knows where they're sitting, and there's no mix-ups there.
And I'm sure even rental companies, being able to leverage, you've got this tent, this many chairs, this many tables, I can only imagine how powerful that would be.
Exactly.
In addition to that, I was going to ask, actually I was going to make a comment real quick. So to kind of bring this full circle for some of our students who are out there who I know are volunteering, interning, maybe even have jobs at event rental companies, restaurants, hotels, take this opportunity to introduce the 3D Event Designer powered by Events Clique to your employers, to your managers. Actually take it upon yourself. If you have an event coming up, create a floor plan, create the event space using this platform, and show your manager, and just see what kind of reaction they would have, and how that business ultimately could leverage this powerful tool as well to add further value to their clients. I know we have an alumni who found out about the 3D Event Designer from one of our Facebook posts. She went and got a monthly subscription, and now offers that in her package to her clients. You get free floor plans to kind of give you a visual for your event. So think about how you could add further value to the businesses that you're interacting with, how you could give them some free services, because that could definitely be a foot in the door for you as a student, something that, as Michael mentioned, it's something that no one else is doing. Offering them a free service, a venue maybe that you want to interview with, to potentially work with in the future. Why don't you create one of their event spaces, and send it to them? What a door opener would that be? So just food for thought on that. Since as an SEPA member, you do have free access to this account. Definitely leverage it. And I know, Michael, you guys have some amazing resources. Obviously, the webinar today was extremely detailed and went over a lot of different information. Where could they access this kind of same information, but maybe dissect it into smaller videos?
Yeah, perfect question. So on our home page, We have about 20 different YouTube tutorial videos. Let me go ahead and go to our homepage. And these tutorial videos are broken up in about 30 to 60 second sections, and you can really just go ahead and choose, which sections you want to go over. We break it out, room and outdoor area features, furnishing features, annotation tools, and then email and sharing and seating charts. So you can go ahead and pick and choose what you want to watch. Again, they're about 30 to 60 seconds long, and you can view them anytime.
Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. I want to make one final comment, guys. I know I can't stress it enough. Leverage, leverage, leverage this opportunity because this is part of your membership. We have such an amazing partnership with the 3D event designer. This is not a free resource to other people, and it is to SCPA members. So again, I can't stress how grateful we are and how I definitely want you guys to take full advantage of this, including when you guys do watch this webinar and you complete the corresponding quiz to receive credit for this, or the corresponding assignment rather, to receive credit for this. Include that in your portfolio, guys. Add it on your website. Add it on your resume. Definitely leverage this. So I look forward to seeing all that. Be sure to submit any designs to SCPA. You can even tweet it at us or Facebook us. And I know what is the hashtag or handle for 3D Event Designer, Michael?
It's at Events Clique. So it's right here. I'll go ahead and type it in. Oops. At Events Clique.
At Events Clique. So definitely link them in as well. I'm sure they would be happy to retweet that for you guys. And we look forward to seeing all your creations. Michael, I want to thank you so much once again for taking the time today. This was absolutely phenomenal for our SCPA members and for others who would like to go back and review this recording at any point in time. It will be on the SCPA YouTube channel, so you guys can check it out at any time. Michael, do you have any parting words?
Really, you guys just enjoy the software. I'll be sending you guys your login info shortly, either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll be your guys' point of contact if you have any questions with the software, you need any help. Just feel free to reach out to me. Really use the software while you can. It's obviously complimentary for all SCPA members, which is a great opportunity, like Aubrey said. So, thank you again for joining the webinar. I hope you guys enjoy using the software.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you, Michael, once again.
Thank you. All right.